Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. MHS student representation.
Oh, good. Oh, that's me. I'm here.
Who's first?
You present.
Alice,
You can go ahead.
yeah. Hi, Hattie.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Hattie Parker, and I will be filling the lovely seat of Allison next year.
Oh, great.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Hattie.
Sorry, I don't have a computer anymore, so I had to do it all on my phone. Okay. First off, I'd like to welcome Hattie. I'm sure you're doing great here. Congratulations on being the new student representative. And I would also like to thank the school committee, everyone here. It's been a really great opportunity, and I've gained a lot of valuable experience. As for the year, there's not much to report, but I would like to make a few comments. First, I was speaking to a few of you at graduation about the Met Gala event, which was amazing. It was so fun, and it was the perfect way to end the year. I know a lot of work was put into it, so I would just like to give a shout out and thank everyone who was involved in that, because it was really awesome. The same for graduation. I think we were all a bit nervous about how that would go, but I think it went really well. So thank you to Mr. Riley and everyone else who was a part of that. I would like to make the suggestion that the school committee representative gets to speak every year and that they're recognized the same as the class officers. I would also like to make the suggestion that graduation is live streamed every year from now on, because I know I have family who lives internationally, so obviously they weren't able to come, but they were so excited that they were able to watch. And I think there's probably a lot of other people who have family members that live across the country or internationally that would like to be able to have their family members see that. So I think that was a great thing this year. If we can continue that, that would be awesome. I didn't necessarily like that there was no presentation of where people were going to college or what they were doing after high school. I understand that there was limited resources outside, so we couldn't have a screen or anything that was giving a presentation. But I think it could have been presented, said out loud, whatever. But I'm sure we won't have an issue with that in the future if we do it indoors, like we usually do. Obviously, our year in general was difficult with COVID, but we had a great last few weeks, and all of the activities, the senior breakfast, the Powder Puff game, walking around our elementary schools, and prom were all great events. It was awesome that we were able to do all that, even if we couldn't do it like throughout the year. And that's all I have about the year, but I know I wasn't always vocal during all the meetings because half the time I had no idea what you were talking about. But it was a great experience, even just observing. So thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allison.
Yeah, thank you, Allison. And
Good luck.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Allison, you going to UMass next year?
Yes, I am.
Well, good luck to you. I hope you have a great college career. I hope you keep on playing the trumpet.
We'll see.
And
I will say I was a little disappointed. You only introduced me once. You didn't have tanning lotion, so you couldn't stay for the other two, right? No, it was great. Enjoy yourself. Have a great time. Be safe out there.
Thank you.
Ms. Bodenhinger.
Thank you. And I want to thank you because, yes, you didn't necessarily comment on every meeting, but when you did, I thought you were always well prepared, and, you know, what you brought to the table was always really helpful. And, you know, we're thrilled that Hattie will be joining us next year. And over the years, I think we've been inching towards having the student rep more and more involved. And, you know, so I really appreciated your initiative. And whatever you did with Mr. Riley to get yourself to be able to present a graduation was awesome. Because I was like, wait a minute, she's not the class president, she's not the valedictorian. I was trying to figure out how you got up there, and it was great. So, and I agree with you. I think you should get more recognition. So I appreciate that initiative as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were confused as to why I was up there, but it was a great opportunity to be able to speak, and I think now with the student rep kind of becoming a bigger role, that it's good to be recognized.
Yeah,
so.
I agree. Mr. Riley, I haven't gotten to watch the video yet, but when we do watch the video, it does show where the students are going, right?
Yeah, when the final compilation is all put together, it has their senior slide with the presentation as they walk across the stage for each student.
Yeah.
So Ms. Moran puts that together, though, after the fact, and I think what Allison was referring to is while they're crossing
Yes.
the stage in the moment, there's no
Agreed.
screen.
Right.
So there's no formal recognition during the live event of what's happening for the students. So she's absolutely right. I think the more recognition, the better.
Agreed. And that's one of my favorite parts of graduation, is really to see, you know, what choices, you know, the students have made on where they're going to go next. So I agree with you. It's too bad we weren't able to do that, but we'll certainly work on it for the next graduation.
Any other questions from the committee? Any other questions? Ms. Hennessy?
Thank you. I actually wanted to just thank Allison and congratulate her. And I really do appreciate that you have brought many issues forward, whether they were going to be positive or negative. Being able to speak up and voice your perspective and or concerns is very helpful for all of us, so that we can learn and make changes and improve if we can. So thank you for always doing that and not really being afraid to put yourself forward to make yourself known. I greatly appreciate it, and I think that's going to only benefit you for the future, and definitely benefits us. You know, the perspective you've offered just about this graduation allows us to all move forward with that information and insight, so that we can improve things down the road. And thank you for your flexibility, and thank you for communicating to the students to be flexible as we're embarking on something none of us ever had to deal with before. But I appreciate your role and your involvement, and I wish you a lot of success.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee members? Any other committee members? Thank you very much. Welcome aboard. We'll see you soon. Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to start my report with an item that is not on my report, but I think is an important discussion for the committee, is to request to return to our previous format of school committee meetings on June 22nd. So we have one more meeting this year, and while we have been following all of the protocols as best we can, I think it is time to have the discussion for the school committee about returning to the format that we had used previously. And part of that would be public participation would be live. It would be at the podium. It would be for people who come in. And any other changes to the protocols as needed if the school committee deems it appropriate. But as you know, there isn't anything that I've seen that has passed the legislation at this point. But on June 15th, as far as I am aware, we are no longer able to have the live streamed meetings, if you will. They have to be in person. And the chair, I believe the chair has to be present for the meetings. You can't be online. I'm not sure if I'm understanding that correctly, Mr. Mayor, if you'd like to correct me, but as I read it, we do have to return to some sort of normalcy in our meetings.
They're using the old rules at this point. They haven't changed anything from what it was before, which means the body has to vote, the chair has to be present, and the majority of the members have to be present, live, for it to be active. As far as other boards and commissions in the city go, Teams is out as of Tuesday. They can come back like they were before. So if they don't want to serve on the Board of Commission, we'll work on that, so.
And seeing as that this, when we are meeting, this is an open meeting, I would ask that the question be placed to the school committee on whether or not, as adults, we are going to continue wearing masks. I believe most of us are vaccinated at this point. I don't want to make any presumptions, but since it's not a school event with kids, I think we should have that discussion as well. So I place that in front of the school committee for you to consider. I can go on with my report, or if you want to talk about it now.
Nope, I'll open it up for any members that want to be heard. Ms. Matthews?
I honestly have no objection to going back to our old format. I hope the legislature, which I know they're considering, some kind of hybrid in the future for the ability for some people who either aren't vaccinated or need to be remote for whatever reason, the ability, whether it's public participation, or if for some reason I can participate but don't, maybe I'm COVID. Well, right, Catherine had a family emergency and was able, to participate this way. So I'm fine with it. I'm also fine with the no masks, but I think again, it becomes a choice if you want a mask or not mask. Yeah, that's my feeling on it.
Just go ahead, Joe.
So yeah, just for clarity, would like the situation with Catherine being out of the state, being able to remote in, that's still going to be okay as far as we know? They haven't changed that yet.
I'm cutting all teams off for the rest of the city. There's no teams for the city council, for other boards and commissions. It's going back to the way it was. It's going back to normal.
Okay, but we can choose.
You can do what you want.
I guess my question is, though, there has not been a ruling from the state that says that we cannot.
The state is the old rules before COVID, which means the chair has to be present, the majority of members have to be there, and there has to be access to Zoom or a Teams meeting.
Oh, I thought prior to COVID, there was a remote voting was not allowed.
For a meeting, it was voted on by the board, you could do that.
Oh, okay. Because I would be in favor of that, because there are times when, life gets in the way and we still could participate. So, and in terms of the masking, I agree with Mrs. Matthews. I'm comfortable not masking, and then if people choose to,
that's right.
Their prerogative, for sure.
This is Tennessee?
So I'm a prime example. And while I feel like it's always best if we can, obviously, all be in person, I'm fully in support of that. I'm fully in support of being able to be there if we're fully vaccinated, to be able to be maskless as well. But I'm an example where I had a family emergency, and although I initially left town with anticipation of being able to drive home today and to be there, the situation did not allow for that. Be that the case, I am dedicated of trying to be involved in what is going on in regards to the city and the school community, and it matters to me. And I feel like that is something that, whether I'm in a position of being a school committee member or a city councilor, I'd love to have the opportunity of trying to be involved via Teams. I appreciate the need for having a quorum that would be there and fully present, but I think that it would behoove all of us to appreciate what we've learned and benefited from in regards to allowing this flexibility. And I think we need to welcome this as being a way of supporting each other in the future and moving forward should we have the need. I don't think that this should be something that we call upon on a constant basis. And I think all of us are adult enough to appreciate that this is something that's needed on a very, at-needed emergency basis. But I think it would be crazy of us not to support each other to be able to do this when necessary. So I believe that we should strive forward to find an opportunity to allow for a Teams meeting such as this to occur and everybody was fully informed. I had contacted at least a quorum to make sure that people were aware of my situation, as well as the superintendent specifically about tonight's situation. And I would hope that we can move forward in supporting each other collaboratively that way. So thank you.
Anyone else? Just, I just want to clarify. I think that if we allowed teams at all the boards and commissions and council meetings and everywhere else in the city and continued it as it is, you'd see the same people remotely every meeting or every other meeting. The majority of the people that want to use Teams want to use Teams. It's much more comfortable to be home in your office than it is to be at a meeting. In certain circumstances, obviously, there's situations where you don't have an option, but we didn't have Teams until a year ago. So it's just my 2 cents. You know, like I said, if we were continuing it, doing it citywide, we are going to use Teams for taping all the meetings and showing them after. We'll put them up on the website, so the public will still have access if they want to watch the meeting after, or if they want to come in for the meetings, that's up to them. Because I think that's very valuable for the public to see all the meetings. I think that was something that was really good, so. Yep.
That's what I wanted to clarify, because we're not going to stop our live streaming for the public.
We're going to stop the live streaming through the balance of probably June to get it working. If you've taken the time to look at other boards and commissions, and you watch the city council meeting and watch the people that you have to continue to do roll call votes that take forever to do, and then you have the glitches with the IT, either the equipment or the individuals doing it, it's a problem. So that's my 2 cents. If you go on, I ask you to take the time and listen to a couple committee meetings that are on our website.
No, and I have, but I'm just trying to clarify for us. We're going to continue, I mean, the proposal is that we are going to continue, to be on WMCT, correct?
That's different. So
No, I know, but that's,
WMCT
but that's
what we're talking about.
But that's the first piece of
Yeah.
it, making sure that
That's live
the public can still see it.
Yeah.
And then the question becomes whether we offer a live stream link to the public. So as an example, staff who do not live in town who may want to watch, which we don't get a lot of that, but Mrs. Berry may at times want to participate from home, or in the case of Mrs. Hennessy or any one of us, are we going to allow that ability as needed to live stream, or to teams in, I should say, not live stream, because we're still.
I'm saying no.
He's saying no.
Well, but
That's,
I think
that's me.
Right,
that-
no,
right.
agreed.
So if you want to be different than the rest of the city, that's up to you.
Well, I think we are different from the rest of the city, but, I mean, I think what you were proposing was that we do public participation and our presentations by staff or students live in the room. And that would be my preference as well, is to do everything live. My only issue was to have it available should we have a member who is not able to be at the meeting for whatever reason, but still could participate in the meeting remotely. That was what
in defense of somebody who is not vaccinated, or if we chose not to have public participation, given the opportunity for a public person to be able to voice their opinion, yes, they could send an email in ahead of time.
Till when?
If the legislature makes a decision to allow it
They're not
going
going to take
forward.
it up.
What?
They're not going to act on this for a while.
I disagree with that, but,
Okay?
okay. So do
Other
we want to
input?
have a vote on it at the next meeting?
Mr. Gary?
I just have a sort of a clarifying question. So you said that it's going back to the old rules. Does that mean that when it comes to head count for quorum, say, and somebody is, let's say we still have a team's portion,
Yeah.
however we deem to use it there, and a member is remote for whatever reason caused that, does that person count towards the quorum? Or you're saying
No.
it doesn't?
The quorum has to be present,
In the
physically present.
Same thing with
So
the chair.
four
or
of
vice
us
chair.
have to be here, and the chair has to be here,
Okay.
whoever's chairing that.
Whoever's chair, right.
And then it's a vote of the quorum, it's a vote of the body. And we can verify that tomorrow, but I believe that's the rule in place. I don't know if that's what you understand.
That's how I read it as well, Mr. Mayor, is that I gotta make sure I say this correctly. I may be wrong, and I'll go back and look at it, but members who are listening to the meeting on Teams are not present for the vote under the older rules, as I understood
I'm
it.
not sure about the vote, so that could be
Yeah.
correct too. I'm
Yeah.
not sure how that goes.
But I mean, the idea, the reason I brought it up was for next agenda for the 22nd is to put basically the room back to the order where we had it, and also have public participation be live. Now, anyone may send an email, like we've had that system where someone could send an email in, but the way that that would work is I would simply present I'm not going to read it into the record, I'm going to present it to you and it'll be part of the minutes. So that generally is the public participation portion. And then, you know, for the masking and everything else, that's a decision of the committee. It sounds like there's pretty good agreement on that piece, which is nice. So that's where I was getting at, is when we do the agenda for the next meeting, do we do all of these activities, or are we kind of condensing it? That's where I was going with that.
Ms. Matthews?
So I'd like to make a suggestion, since this sounds like it's going to require a vote that's not on the agenda currently. But, I mean, a recommendation for the next meeting to be as you're proposing, with once we also get clarity on exactly how and if Teams allows you voting. I understand the quorum issue.
Yeah,
But the voting, I guess we're still in the gray about, so we'd have to get clarification on that. But I think everything else kind of fits what we have agreed to so far.
It's up to you. We could do it now. We can get clarification and take the vote at the next meeting. I'll be just happy to be able to hear everyone for the first time in a year, because the mask will be gone.
Yeah,
So-
agreed. Yeah, I think we can get clarification and vote at the next
Okay.
meeting. That
Are
would be
there
my
any other
suggestion.
questions on it, so we can get, I believe the only question we have is the votes. Do we still have to do roll call votes? And do we still, do the members remotely get a vote?
Yeah, so as I understand it from the discussion, for the next meeting, as I'm putting together the agenda, and I'll look into that, but I did not hear anybody say they had an issue with us moving the public participation to being at the podium. And then additionally, if someone decides they'd like to send an email, I'm going to print the email and hand it to you and then include it in the minutes. I'm not going to read it out loud. That's how I will provide that to you if I don't provide it electronically.
Perfect.
No. Any other questions on this? So we can, again, so we can get clarification for the next meeting. So the remote thing, we're kicking down the road one meeting. The rest of it, we're going back to normal
Next meeting.
at 8:05.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
So on to the rest of my report, just a current update on the positive cases. As the time I wrote the report, we were at 2. I believe we went up to 3, now we're back down to 2, so no significant change there. Almost every metric in the state and in the city have been on the positive direction, not positive as in bad, positive as in good. And it seems like the cases have significantly dropped in the city as well as in the state. Testing percentage has gone down significantly. Hospitalizations are down significantly. And as deaths are also down significantly from the peak times. Graduation. I'm sorry, Mr.
As
Mayor.
of yesterday, we had 5 cases in the city, so.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's a big change from when I reported this last week. Graduation, I wanted to reserve just some space to discuss it. Obviously, we've heard some great feedback, and I would invite Dr. Riley up to the podium if he wanted to share any thoughts himself. But more than anything else, I just wanted to say thanks. I can't thank everyone, but just some special thank yous to the all-nighter committee, specifically Jackie Plank, Allison Hathaway. They just did a fantastic job making a special night for the kids. Senior advisors, Sarah Casey, Leah Canonico, they did a fantastic job. Obviously, Mr. Riley, we had many volunteers who tried to make that day special. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add just briefly about graduation, but I just thought it was a great day. Selfishly, I was so happy I didn't get sunburned, so it just was great all around. But I really think that the format that we did was good. I think the parents got to see their kids. They were able to bring family members. So I think everything we were trying to accomplish got accomplished. And Dr. Riley, any other comments that you'd like to share?
I didn't even realize until graduation day that they had 75 sunscreen rating. So they do.
It's called mud. Thank you, Dr. Riley.
I can remember that first day last year. We were out there for 6 hours.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Bergeron. So I just want to say thank you to the school committee, Mayor Vigent, Superintendent Bergeron, all the central office staff that were there, the students, the families, the community. This has been a year, and I feel like for the class of 2021, we ended it on the right note, in spite of all the things that you've gone through this year. So Allison's words before mean the world to me. I know they mean the world to our team and everybody who really stepped up to bring all of those events to fruition. So thank you to our graduates, and thank you to the Marlborough community.
Good. Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, and then for my last item, I just wanted to let the school committee know that I included a copy of my report for my self-evaluation for the committee. I do look forward to your feedback, and I will wait to hear from the vice chair because usually I think she gets appointed to be the caretaker of the evaluation. And I just would say, if you'd like me to put something on the next agenda, I would be happy to do so.
We can appoint her right now if you want.
Yeah, it's a done deal. Last one to touch my nose. Sorry, my thing was off. Yes, and you all should have gotten an email, actually 2 emails, one from Patty and then one from Heidi, with the tool. So if you can get working on those, and let's see. Mr. Chair, did you hear what she said? I really do not want them the Monday night before the meeting.
Wait a minute, I'm not the last one every year, so let's get this clear.
Not every year. Let's shoot for Thursday, the 17th.
June
Okay.
17th?
Yeah, the meeting is the 22nd. If I say the 17th, I have half a prayer of getting it by.
June 15th is a tax day.
Mike, have it to me by the 16th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's my report, Mr. Mayor, if there's any questions.
Any questions for the superintendent? Any questions for the superintendent? Mr. Diaz?
Oh, I think we skipped one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Murphy up?
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Good evening. FY22 school events. We are looking forward to the return of in-person events for the 2021-2022 school year. We expect that the PTO meetings and events such as family book fairs, school performances, and family trainings will all return to the school calendars for in-person events. Very exciting. We have also learned that participation in some school events, such as parent-teacher conferences, increased significantly when our families were able to connect with teachers through the Zoom platform. We plan to continue using these remote tools for selected events. So we will continue using some of the strategies that we have found significant increase in participation with the tools, at least for this year, to see if it continues. Annual curriculum review for bias process. In my last report, I highlighted some of the work that the District Anti-Bias and Anti-Racism Committee had accomplished. Tonight, Supervisor of Humanities Jody Reyes and Whitcomb teacher Carolyn Cadell are here to share a project an A-Bar subcommittee completed this year. As a district, we have been reviewing civil rights indicators that will be included in upcoming district reviews and tools to support this work. And I included one of those indicators in my written report. Our district tools will also support the Anti-Bias and Anti-Racism Committee's goals to examine our teaching and learning practices for bias and racism. Mr. Reyes and Ms. Cadell will share an overview of the new annual review for bias process. So.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Good evening, everyone. Caroline Cadell and I are here to present an overview of the tool that our subcommittee worked hard to put together. So to provide a little bit of context, our tool sits at the intersection of two things that have been going on in the district. So as a supervisor team, we've been working on developing a curriculum review process, and we've known for quite a while that as part of that review process, we needed to develop a tool for assessing bias in the curriculum. And then this school year, we formed, as a district, an anti-bias, anti-racism committee. And so the tool we developed, so a number of members of the committee and I worked together on this tool. The scope of our work, so we determined our group's priorities. We met about once every 3 weeks beginning in January. We wanted the tool to create opportunities for teachers to reflect on the curriculum and their instructional practices and to promote discussion, yet we didn't want the tool to be too unwieldy. And our subcommittee had representation across elementary and secondary grades, so elementary, middle, and high school. And we talked about wanting to recognize the difference among grade level bands and content areas. So we wanted the tool to be able to capture those differences. So we started reviewing existing tools. So the two major curriculum review tools that we were able to identify were one developed by NYU Steinhardt, which is culturally responsive curriculum scorecard, and another tool developed by the Midwest Plains and Equity Assistance Center, which was a tool for assessing bias in standards and curricular materials. We also looked at other tools and we found that they were more for assessing individual curricular materials, so they weren't as comprehensive as these two. And based on our research, we wanted to develop our own tool, which we didn't want to create a tool from scratch if a tool existed that we could build on. And so after weeks and months of discussion, we landed on two main sources for our tool. So we decided that among the two curriculum review for bias tools out there, we thought that the Midwest and Plains Equity Assistance Center tool for assessing bias in standards and curricular materials was a better starting point. It was designed specifically for educators to assess bias in standards and curriculum, and so we felt it was tailor-made for our purpose. And the way the tool is organized, it has a total of 10 domains. So 3 domains are for assessing bias in standards, and 7. It actually identifies 7 types of bias in curricular materials. So that was the backbone of our tool. The second thing that informed our work was Learning for Justice, which was formerly known as Teaching Tolerance. They changed their name about a year ago. They developed 20 social justice standards. So they have a standards document with 20 anchor standards grouped into 4 domains: identity, diversity, justice, and action. And each anchor standard, what we thought was really powerful about the Learning for Justice social justice standards is that every anchor standard had grade level outcomes. So in other words, for every standard, they presented what that would look like at different grade level bands. And we'll show an example of what that will look like in a moment. Caroline?
So we decided to look at 9 particular focus areas. So just to sort of review what Jody said, the areas that we're looking for are not to tell teachers or to tell our curriculum what we should be teaching. It's rather to look at the curriculum that exists or inform future thinking and to make sure it's done in the least biased way possible. We were very intentional about these 9 focus areas being put in the positive rather than to further promulgate further racist ideas. So we were looking for visibility representation. Do we see all groups in our curriculum? Does it challenge this idea of a single story? Is there balance and complexity in what we're teaching? Historical unearthings, where we teaching things that perhaps we haven't been teaching before, but would further give the full story of what our country or world history is. Connectedness, bias-free language, being really careful about the language that we use to teach our curriculum. Linguistic justice, authenticity, and stimulating social improvement.
And just to add to Caroline, the majority of these were, the way the tool, the Midwest and Plains Equity Tool was organized, so it identified different biases. And what we did in most cases was to flip the bias into a positive. So for example, one of the identified biases is invisibility. So for our tool, we thought it would be better to state the opposite and said, rather than avoiding invisibility, we want to promote visibility.
So for each of the 9 areas that we looked at, we scaffolded that down even more and aligned it with the Learning for Justice standards to try to figure out, could we make it as detailed as possible for everyone to understand what we were looking for, but not overwhelming, such that it would be too cumbersome to use on a regular basis. So just as an example, that challenging the idea of a single story has the particular view of the curriculum depicts groups of people in a variety of ways to highlight individual attributes and differences and to challenge stereotypes. So that's the overarching goal from K to 12. And this could be used whether we are reviewing curriculum that's been taught to see where we're at, or as we're looking at new curriculum to decide, are we doing this in the most just way possible? The way that a teacher or curriculum group identifies where we are informs our future work. So if it's decided that this is an area that we need work on, that would inform our future work, whether it be at PLCs in the subsequent year, whether it be in deciding on new curriculum. It's the starting point for our next lessons. And then within that, we broke it down from pre-K to 12th grade, realizing this is going to look very different depending upon the grade level and the content that's being taught. So all of the 9 categories have something that's more grade level appropriate and specific based on what you're teaching and where you're teaching. We wanted this to be as easy for teachers to use and implement, so it's all color-coded and matches specifically, so it's easy as teachers are going through. So, for example, you'll see that it's at the kindergarten to 2nd grade level. Curriculum allows students to recognize that their friends have many identities, but they're always still just themselves. That goes all the way to high school, where it's obviously way more complex as they're looking at these ideas in multiple subjects.
I'm sorry, Caroline, we lost you for the last 2 sentences that you said. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. I was saying that it becomes way more complex as we get to the high school level, and this would obviously be more complex if you're looking at to use an ELA or a history curriculum. And it's something that we could be defined whether you're looking at a school implementation of a curriculum or a specific content.
So this is an example of one of the different focus areas that we identified, and we provided a copy of the complete tool in your packet. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the committee? Any questions from the committee? Mary? Yep. Ms. Bodenhedinger.
So I'm just curious, so are you as a committee, like literally, you're not going through all of the different curricular doing this. You're having each department do it with their own curriculum.
So on the curriculum maps that we've been working on, there is an annual review for bias, and this would be one of the tools that would be used for that. And as we identify during our 9-year cycle that we think for our curriculum reviews to determine if we're going to revise or maintain or start investigating a new curriculum, then that would also be able to use that tool to look at whole curriculums. But in general, at PLCs, the supervisors or the administrators would be able to sit down with teams of teachers and lead them through like one indicator a month or throughout the year. And then there is part of the tool as well. I think that the idea was also then to set a goal at the end of the year of what to address as well. So it's just one piece of as we look deeper at curriculum and teaching and learning.
So were we doing a look towards bias prior to this year?
So when we were identifying new curriculum? Yes, like big buckets. So the first time that I know of that we did it was one of the things that we looked at through the rubric when we adopted Journeys. Okay. Last year, there was a new math adoption at the middle school. It was something that the home math department at Whitcomb School sat down, and it was one of the pieces that they looked at throughout. And it's funny, but yes, in math as well. So every tool might need to be adjusted a little bit, but it needs to be for every curriculum. Have we completed annual reviews for biases for each map? Not yet. That was one of the main outcomes that they were trying to accomplish with this tool.
Great, thank you.
Other questions from the committee? Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's great. Thank you for your work. I appreciate it a lot. It's great.
Thank you.
Minutes of, I'm sorry, Mr. Diaz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is tonight's update from Finance and Operations. District's FY21 operating budget. As we wrap up the FY21 fiscal year, the district is exploring the below purchases with end-of-year funds. We believe that these are investments that will have a positive long-term impact for the district. We're seeking to invest in improved custodial equipment. We're looking to perform an IT security audit, increasing our storage server capacity, looking for the installation of a new challenge course over at Marlborough High, increasing the inventory of music instruments, improving camera quality throughout the district, and updating student desks and chairs throughout the district. In addition to these, one thing that I left out is we're also looking if there is, we're looking to see if there's any curriculum purchases that we could do at the end of the fiscal year, and this comes up in my transfer request a little bit later. FY22 transportation. Steve Phelan in the Transportation Office has released a transportation registration survey to all parents. We ask that parents who are interested in transportation services for their students, please respond by the June 14th deadline. There will be a reminder coming from my office this week as well. We already received about 1,000 registrations. That's about 1/3 of what we expect to receive. All students will be required to register for transportation in FY22, and those who register late may be put on a waiting list over the summer as we figure out the routes. So again, a reminder will be coming from my office. Food services. Happy to announce that Pam Whelan has joined the Marlborough Public School teams as our new food service director. Pam had joined us back in April on an interim basis and has since accepted the position as our permanent director. The district has ambitious goals for the meals program, and I'm thrilled to have Pam leading the charge as the new director. Again, I express my gratitude to Jenna Jansen for her services for the Marlborough Public Schools over the past few years. Translation team. Our team of 10 translators continue providing a valuable service to our families and staff. Amongst the many benefits of having an in-house team of translators is our ability to effectively meet much, 99.99% of our document translation needs. We receive monthly reports from Daisy Reyes, the Registration and Translation Services Manager, on the number of documents translated in-house. I'm proud to share the numbers with the committee. Over this past year in FY21, we translated 875 Portuguese IEP and progress reports, 1,092 Spanish IEPs and progress reports, and over 1,300 other documents for a whopping nearly 3,300 documents translated by that team. I could probably count on my one hand the number of documents that we had to send out for translation because it was in Russian or another language that we can't translate in-house. That's all for my report. Happy to take any questions.
Questions from the committee? Ms. Bowen-Hettinger.
So just two questions. One is actually not a question, it's just a comment, but that blows me away. That is a lot of translating. And knowing what we used to pay to send stuff out, it's just incredible. So yay us for increasing our number of translators through the years.
And one thing I'd like to note, it's not on here, but we have a great partnership, and a lot of times folks from the city will call over and ask for stuff to get translated, and we'll help them too. And it's been a really good partnership to be able to do that. And I appreciate the work of everyone on the team being flexible, because sometimes we don't give them a lot of advance warning. Sometimes, sometimes I send messages to the team and I need it back by 4 o'clock because I need to send it out to parents. So they're always willing to jump in, and they just do a great job. And I appreciate their work.
It's really amazing. My other question is regarding the purchases. So if we're able to, we have enough money to do all of this, A, and then B, will we use up all of the money by doing all of this?
It's a great question.
Don't want to give any back to the city. Nothing personal.
We don't yet have all of this priced out.
Okay.
We're looking to see what we could do with the remainder of the funds. So I should know by the time we have our next meeting on the 22nd, we're coming up against that deadline on June 30.
Yeah.
Again, we're looking to do some long-term positive impact by making some investments for the district.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Some of this might take a while, too. So if we can do what we want to do with some of the students' desks and chairs,
Yeah,
that may not be a next year project. It might be next summer. Like, we might have to stage this, because part of the issue isn't just, it's getting the stuff, because
Sure.
materials are really hard right now. If anybody's trying to
for
build
sure.
something onto their house, they know that.
yeah.
So if trying to get the stuff is part of the problem, but also removing what's there, because it's not really worth anything anymore, and you have to pay someone to come get it and get rid of it. So some of this stuff may not be an immediate thing that we do, but it might be over the course of the next fiscal year, we plan it out and get it done.
But we can encumber the funds.
Yep.
Right. Perfect. Thank you.
Other questions from the committee? Any other questions? Thank you very much. Entertain a motion for the minutes of the May 11, 2022 school committee meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Ms. Hennessy?
Yes, I'm all good. Thank you.
Thank you. All those opposed? It is approved. Public participation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For tonight's public participation portion of the meeting, you can participate by dialing 774-243-0611. Conference ID is 410-246-749#. Again, that number is 774-243-0611, and the conference ID is 410-246-749#. Mr. Mayor, I did not have any communications to share previous to the meeting.
Thank you. Is there any public participation? Is there anyone on for public participation? Mr. Diaz,
I see no callers at this time, Mr. Mayor.
is there anyone on for public participation? Thank you very much. Action items, ratification of the contract between Marlborough School Committee and the Administration Office Support Association.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In executive session earlier this evening, members of the school committee met and approved or ratified the agreement between the Marlborough School Committee and the Marlborough School Administrative Office Support Association for the period July 1st to 2021 through June 30th, 2024. I can't even say these numbers tonight, sorry. And I am bringing it forward now for a public motion approval process as well. So
Motion made and seconded to approve the contract. Any discussion? Any discussion from any of the members?
I would just like to thank the members for moving swiftly on this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Ms. Hennessy, yes?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Approval of overnight football trip.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've invited Jeff Radzinski to be here tonight to answer any questions. But in the past, the Marlborough Panthers have gone to Eagle Hill for the past 8 years. Actually, not that last year, and spent the entire day practicing with the Wachusett Regional High School football team. The Wachusett coaching staff has invited MHS for the overnight, as in past years, and this will be the 6th time we have stayed the night with them. And just for the committee's recognition, last year, in the summer, you had given me approval pending the actual protocols and everything that was in place. And that might be, again, what we're looking for here. As the mayor said, the numbers in the city are considerably down. I think you said 5 cases, Mr. Mayor, which is fantastic, and we hope that is the new trend and it goes back down to 0. However, this is a good tradition that the football team, I think, would like to continue. And I didn't know if there was any questions from the committee on this trip.
Motion.
Motion to approve the football trip.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Ms. Tennessee?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank
All
you.
those opposed? Carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And for the second trip, it's not an overnight trip, but the boys soccer team has traditionally traveled to play teams in Connecticut. They would be looking to play a day trip for scrimmages at East Hartford and on Avon Old Farms. They will travel by bus, they will scrimmage, and they will head home. As in the previous years, we have done this. And again, we are looking for approval since it is an out-of-state trip.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Ms. Tennessee?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Rudzinski, for being on tonight.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. FY21 operating budget transfers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few transfers for the committee's consideration tonight. The majority of these relate to instructional materials that we identified as being able to purchase a little early with FY21 funds. Over Good Now, we're requesting a transfer of $1,200 from the behavior tech line to cover the instructional materials overage. At JARC, $4,700 also from the BT line to cover $3,500 in the instructional materials line and $1,200 in the 12-month clerk line. At Kane, requesting a transfer of $2,000 from the paraprofessional line to cover $2,000 overage in the instructional materials line. At Richard, requesting a transfer of $3,200 from the para line to cover an overage of $3,200 in the instructional materials line. At Whitcomb, requesting a transfer of $9,300 from the advisor stipend line to cover an overage of $5,100 in the English, in the ELA instructional materials line, and $4,200 in the science instructional material line, $9,300 total. At Marlborough High School, requesting a transfer of $24,600 to cover an overage in ELA, history, science, special ed, EL, and the 12-month clerk line. Happy to answer any questions about these.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Ms. Tennessee?
Yes, thank you.
All those opposed? Carries. Acceptance of gifts and donations. That's all you got, Mike?
It's getting late in the year, Mr. Mayor.
Ohio Pile Prints, MHS, $23.81.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Ms. Tennessee?
Yes,
All those opposed? Carries. Reports of subcommittees. Any reports of subcommittees? Ms. Matthews?
Negotiations has reached, I believe, a tentative agreement with the behavior techs. We're waiting on ratification. And tomorrow, we hope to have our final, Mrs. Berry's even crossing her fingers, final session with the teachers. And have soon to be.
You're both crossing your fingers. You should just settle it now in the corner. Go over there and just resolve
Let's go,
this
Eileen,
stuff.
let's do it.
Thank you. Yeah. I'll take you to dinner right now if that's all it's going to take. Anyone else? Ms. Tennessee?
thank you. So for the policy subcommittee, we have a meeting coming up on the 16th. Should anyone have some specific policy issues that they feel like we need to discuss, please be in touch so I can add it to the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other committees? Members Forum. Members Forum. Ms. Matthews.
I have read the warrant and will be signing it.
Thank you. Ms. Tennessee.
So I'm going to give kudos again. Absolutely fantastic graduation. I appreciate everyone's efforts, especially in the heat. And I am going to say again, thank you to everyone that pulled off the gala, the red carpet gala, as well as Operation Graduation. Jackie Plank, Allison Hathaway, and Shannon Stemple for a number of years now have been involved in kind of leading the charge on that, all-nighter event, if you will. And I appreciate their flexibility, but as well their lead on trying to work with administration to do something on behalf of the seniors. I know that many parents across the community, and the whole community, on giving donations of items and such, and their time. So many people wanted to step up and help. And as I kept on saying to people, I am just one to follow. I didn't want to be a leader there. And they took the time to be the leader and continued to adjust as necessary. And just like Allison articulated, it was a great afternoon, evening. And it's great because Marlborough really came together to do an amazing thing, and it was all over throughout the community. People helped, and I would not want to not say thank you to so many. And I would also say thank you to Dr. Riley, and thank you to the superintendent and all of the people, staff involved on trying to think out of the box to make sure that this class was supported as much as possible, to make sure that their hopes and dreams were secured, and the night was to celebrate them. So it was a great celebration after such a tough year, and we have much more ahead, but kudos. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Lucas.
I just had a quick question about when our Google accounts are being shut down. Because I had told it was going to be graduation, but my Google account still exists, so I was just wondering when that's happening.
When the what is going to be?
Her Google account.
We're gonna have to get back to you on that one.
Okay. Yeah, if you could just let families know when that's going to happen, because people need to transfer things and stuff. Thank you.
Any other members? Mr. Caruso.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure if this is the right place for this, but I couldn't figure out from looking at the agenda. Sort of a request more than anything else through the superintendent to Mr. Diaz. Is there any way we could get some type of an itemized accounting of all of any of the pandemic funds we received, ESSER or any other type, just how far we spent it and what we've done with it and what was long-term, what's short-term, and that sort of thing?
Sure.
Okay, I appreciate it.
They're still spending.
We are still spending it.
Still coming in.
We are still spending, and there is, Mr. Cruz, so on the budget document, there was also a grant, including some of the ESSER funds that we received, listed, and some of the overarching purposes that we're utilizing those fundings for. But I'll be happy to provide that to the committee.
I'm looking for something that's pulled out and easier to look at than
Sure.
that.
And Allison's grandchildren will be the ones paying it back. It's that much money. Any other members? Seeing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Ms. Tennessee?
Yes.
All those opposed? Carries. We are adjourned. I'll see you at the end of the month without a mask.